Welcome back to Sky Garden 2026 and welcome to week 14. We've reached one of my favorite stages of the entire gardening season because after weeks of planting, watering, feeding, pruning, staking, and watching everything develop, the Sky Garden is now giving us some absolutely incredible harvests. And this week, the amount of food coming out of this balcony garden really tells the story. The tomatoes are producing heavily, and they're getting everything from bowls filled with beautiful red tomatoes to some much larger tomatoes that are finally beginning to color and ripen. The cucumbers are continuing to produce as well, and we've got peppers reaching several different stages of maturity, from big green peppers to beautifully colored red peppers. And that's not all. We're also harvesting beans and green onions, so week 14 is really showing just how much variety you can produce in containers when the garden reaches its summer peak. When you look across the balcony now, it's almost difficult to see the buckets underneath everything. The plants are grown together into this massive wall of green, with vines, tomato branches, and pepper plants filling almost every bit of the growing space. That's quite a transformation for where the garden started. So this week we're going to take another look around the Sky Garden, see how everything is progressing, and most importantly, take a look at some of the incredible harvests that have been coming out of this balcony garden. This is Sky Garden 2026 week 14. Let's get into it. Welcome back to 2026 Sky Garden Tour week 14. Here we go. A little smoggy out there today. Okay, so we have our 5-year-old chive plant, as usual. We're getting some buds on there that are starting to flower. So we'll be able to garnish our salads with those and make them look all pretty. So, okay, next up we have our cubanellas. There's a bunch of cubanellas on there. Got some lettuce down in the bottom. Then we have another cubanella. There we go. Lettuce in the bottom there. I've been picking one of these or so every day for our salads, and we had a stir fry there yesterday. Then next up we have our cow horns. I got a bunch of those that I picked off earlier in the week, and I'm gonna make some honey sauce, hot honey sauce actually. There we go. We got some green onions down in the bottom of there. Oh, there's our basil plant. Here we go with some sweet millions, cherry tomatoes. I've been picking these like crazy. Picked a whole bunch today. So that's that. They're right up to the top. They seem to have slowed down on their growth and started producing tomatoes. So I'm happy about that. Next up, we have what were supposed to be beefsteak tomatoes, but they're very, very small. Let me just find there's some back in there. They're very small for beefsteaks. I've been picking those and putting them in the freezer. Gonna make a huge batch of marinara sauce, and then using that, I'll probably make some spaghetti sauce. I need some more spaghetti sauce. Next up, we have another sweet millions. And they are named correctly. I've gotten hundreds and hundreds off of that. So there's that. Big bunch there. Again, right up to the ceiling. Oh, there's our cucumbers photobombing us there. Okay, now next up we have our aromas. All kinds of aromas on there. Again, I've been picking those like crazy. They're ripening up inside. Oh, there's a cucumber. I got a whole whack of those in the fridge. Then we have our scrawny looking cucumber plant. It's got powdery mildew, so I've been having trouble taking care of that. It's all the way over here now, and all the way over there above my other plants. There's a few on here, but I picked a whole bunch, so I got enough to make a batch of pickles, about 2 pounds. There's still some small ones on here. There was a bee around earlier doing some pollination for me, so that was very nice of him, or her, or whoever. Yeah, I've been hand pollinating these. Oh, there's another one. I've been hand pollinating these for the last couple of weeks because they haven't been pollinating. Ooh, there's another one. All kinds on here. Okay, next up we have another aroma. Again, I've been picking these like crazy, but there's still a whole bunch on there. I'm going to be able to make a massive batch of spaghetti sauce very soon. Oh, we got a cucumber vine. Oh, there's another one. Got a cucumber vine that's growing all the way across the front of these. There's even one big one, right? Well, not a big one, but where is he? Gherkin side, there he is. So I want to try very hard not to knock that off. Okay, next up we have another aroma. Whole bunch on there. That one's pretty much ready to take inside and ripen up indoors. Not much room here, so I'm kind of close to the plants. Then we have, oh, there's another. Then we have our Scotch bonnets. I picked up the red ones down the bottom. Put in my honey hot sauce. Hot honey sauce, whatever you call it. We got the radishes in the bottom. They're pretty much ready to harvest. Then I'll probably be able to get another round out of it before the end of the season. Well, we got a siren coming. Then next up we have the jalapenos. Oh, here's the siren. We'll just holy smokes. So yeah, we got the jalapenos. There's a couple of hundred on there probably on the 2 plants. It's getting up there too. Oh, there's our cucumber vine crawling across the top. Oh, here comes fire engine number 2. Yep, that's the ladder truck. The first one was the pumper. And okay, then we got more radishes in the bottom. Then we got our beans. a whole bunch of beans on there. I should pick those today, but I really don't have a use for them tonight for dinner. I'll think of something for tomorrow to put some beans in. Maybe get another round out of those. Okay, let me turn around here. Now we got, these are the plants that are in the back behind the plants that are in the front row, so they're not getting enough light. Those are the bunching onions. I will use those kind of as chives. Here's the pepper plant. No flowers, no peppers, no nothing. Again, no light. So here's the tomato plant. A bunch of them have fallen over and broken off. There's a couple of tomatoes on there, but oh, look at the big split on that one. So yeah, the ones in the back row are definitely not getting enough light. And I keep walking by them and try not to knock this pickle off here. There we go. Okay, holy. Now we got, these are supposed to be spinach, but again, no light, no spinach. So that's it for this week's garden tour of the Sky Garden. Week 14. I will come back very shortly. Well, instantly for you, but very shortly for me, with the harvests for the week. And we'll show you just how much you can get out of a small urban garden in 5-gallon Canadian Tire buckets. Yeah, so there it is. See you in a minute. My apologies for the audio problems in the garden tour. And now we get the real highlight of week 14, the harvest. Just look at these tomatoes. This is exactly what all those earlier weeks of caring for the plants are leading towards. We're bringing in large quantities of ripe red tomatoes, and some of these harvests are enough to practically fill an entire tray. There are dozens of smaller tomatoes coming off the plants, and they're reaching the beautiful deep red color that tells us they're ready to use. One of the great things about harvesting tomatoes at this stage is that they don't all need to be exactly the same level of ripeness. Some are completely red and ready to eat immediately, while others have reached the breaker stage and are showing orange or red color. Tomatoes can finish ripening safely after they're harvested, and this will much of the fruit comes in all at once. Harvesting some slightly early then can actually be very useful, but smaller tomatoes aren't the only story. We're also bringing in some larger tomatoes. Several are beautifully colored, while others are still transitioning from green through the pale orange and finally toward red. There's another impressive harvest from the container garden. Then we have the cucumbers. We're getting several cucumbers at a time now, and some of them have reached a really substantial size. Cucumbers can grow incredibly quickly during the warm summer weather. So once they start producing heavily, check the plants regularly becomes important. A cucumber that looks almost ready one day can become considerably larger just a short time later. And the more frequent mature cucumbers are removed, the more energy the plant can direct towards the younger fruit that is still developing. And then we've got peppers, smaller colored peppers, and those long red peppers that have become such a memorable part of this year's garden. Seeing a pepper go from green all the way to rich red while still attached to the plant is always satisfying. It takes patience because leaving that fruit on the plant longer means waiting while it continues through the ripening process. But when you finally harvest one at full color, the result is worth it. And then another harvest adds something new. We've got yellow beans coming out of the garden. Beans are one of those vegetables where frequent harvesting can really pay off. Picking them while they're tender encourages the plant to keep producing instead of putting all the energy into maturing seed pods. We're also harvesting green onions. That gives the tray a little bit of everything: tomatoes, cucumber, pepper, beans, and onions, all grown right here in containers. When everything is put together, these harvests really demonstrate what a productive balcony garden can become. You don't necessarily need a huge backyard or rows and rows of traditional garden beds to grow a meaningful amount of fresh food. You need to make good use of the space you have, and week 14 is probably one of the strongest examples that we've had this season of exactly what the Sky Garden can produce. Week 14 might be one of the best demonstrations yet on how dramatically a container garden can change over a single season. We started with buckets, soil, and relatively small plants. Now those same containers are supporting a dense summer garden that's producing food almost continuously. And this is the stage that makes all the work worthwhile. Every time another tray comes inside filled with tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, beans, or onions, it's a reminder of what those early weeks were building towards. There's still plenty happening out here, so the focus now becomes maintaining the plants, keep watering consistent, continue to watch for pests and disease, and harvest regularly so that plants can keep producing. Because judging by what we're seeing in week 14, the garden isn't finished yet. And that's going to wrap up week 14 of the Sky Garden 2026. What a difference another week has made. This garden has officially reached the point in the season where it feels like there's something new to harvest almost every time I come outside. The tomatoes are coming in by the tray. The cucumbers continue to produce. The peppers are reaching beautiful mature colors. And now we've got beans and green onions joining the harvest as well. For a garden built almost entirely around containers on a balcony, I'm extremely happy with what this space is producing. And we're not finished. There's still fruit developing throughout the garden. So it'll be interesting to see how much more we can harvest before the season begins winding down. If you're following Sky Garden 2026 from the beginning, thank you for coming along on this journey and watching this balcony transform week after week. And if this is your first Sky Garden video, take a look back at some of the earlier weeks. You'll get to see this garden go from small plants in white buckets to massive wall of green we're standing in front of today. If you enjoyed this week's update, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and follow along because we'll be back again next week to see what's changed, what's ready to harvest, and what surprises the Sky Garden has for us next. Thanks for watching Sky Garden 2026. I'll see you in week 15. Happy gardening!